Hi, Sarah Rodewald. I'm a realtor here in the Boston area, and today I'm going to talk about getting your offer accepted and then what to do after that. So this is number 3 in how to buy. And before I talked about your searching for the property and also getting pre-approved and getting your lending in place. So let's say you find a property that you want to put an offer in, and you write up an offer and it gets accepted. So first things first, you're going to have to give a deposit with that offer. So you want to make sure that you get that to the seller or the seller's agent immediately, because that deposit actually seals that offer. And you want to make sure if there's anything about the property that you want, that you put that in that offer. So say you want the chandelier and it's not listed as an exclusion, just to make sure that that's included, put that in there. Put in all the appliances that you want to keep, even if it's not in MLS or it is in MLS. Anything along those lines, you want to make sure to put that in. You're going to be having inspection contingency or mortgage contingency. Sometimes you might have like a condominium association, the documents, you might put that in there. So whatever you want to include, you're going to put in that offer, and that essentially is going to be used later to make the purchase and sale contract, which is what causes you to have the property under agreement. So Massachusetts is a 2-contract state, so the offer, once it's signed by both parties, is considered a contract. So you just want to make sure you cover everything you can in that offer. If you have an inspection, in Massachusetts, you might end up, usually it's radon, like a general looking at the property. Also, typically you might, you're looking for like major defects. So they'll go in the basement and they'll check like the heater. If, as long as everything's working and on, then they'll check it. In some places where they have private sewer and private water, then you would check like the well, and the seller is responsible for checking the septic. So that's called Title V. So unless it's like a foreclosure or something like that, typically the seller would be responsible for that. So those are some of the things that you might do, in terms of inspections. Radon, just FYI, I had somebody say like a couple years ago, they were like, oh, why would I do radon? That's stupid. And I was like, well, radon's like the 2nd leading cause of cancer, so you might actually want to do that. If you didn't do a radon test, you can actually go to Home Depot, or you can go on AccuStar, their website, and you can get a kit for like $50. Actually, at Home Depot or Lowe's, I think it's like $10, and then you pay $50 to have them test it for you and give you the results. So it's easy to do, and the mitigation for it, it doesn't have to be too costly. It's usually like in the $1,000. I mean, I know that's a lot of money, but in terms of like things to be fixed around the house, that's not too bad. So those are the things that typically people will test for. A lot of times people don't end up testing for lead, mainly because I'm not really going to talk about that too much. That's something that you really want to make sure that you read over, like the lead paint disclosures and things like that. And that the way that a lot of times, because you have to have the seller signs, we don't know if the house has been tested for lead, or they have a certificate that says yes, there's lead, or it's been considered lead free or lead safe. And there's different categories that goes into, and you can look it up online. There's a website where you can check the property if it's been tested or not. And typically people don't do that when they're buying the house, but a lot of times they might do it later. And once the offer is accepted and the money goes to the seller's broker, the seller's attorney, or the seller's agent, and you do the inspection, that's usually about a week to 10 days after you get the offer accepted. And then during that time period, you want to actually apply for your loan. So up to this point, you've had a pre-approval, but now you need to actually do a loan application. So that's something that you're going to be working on with the lender. And I would say whatever it is that you are sending the lender, you want to put it in a file and keep it handy, because it doesn't matter who it is, someone is going to ask you for some document, even on these, these systems they have now, because you're going to get a processor or something that can't get access to it, and they're going to ask you for it. So it's better if you just have everything in one place, so that way if they ask you for something, you have it handy and you can send it right over. Also, you're going to get an attorney, because your attorney is going to be the one that's going to help you write the purchase and sale contract, and also is going to help you with the closing. So, that's extremely important. You want to have somebody that is actually a real estate attorney and knows how to do real estate law in Massachusetts. Not like my uncle who, used to do X, Y, Z, whatever. You just want to make sure it's somebody that is going to make your life easier and help you get to the closing table with the least amount of headaches and protect your interests. So you might also, if you're buying a condo, you're going to review condo, the documents like the master deed, the rules and regulations. So that's things like, rental restrictions, if you have pets, all that stuff, budgets. And then once you have all that stuff together after you've done the inspection, then about a week later, after the attorneys have gone back and forth over the purchase and sale contract, you're going to sign the purchase and sale, and you're going to put a deposit with that. So in total, in escrow, typically you would put 5% into escrow with the seller's agent, seller's broker, or seller's attorney. And that is held until the closing date, and then those funds are dispersed by the buyer's attorney, wherever they need to go. So if you're doing like an FHA loan that's only 3%, obviously you're not putting 5% down, you're putting 3% down in total for escrow. So that's essentially your entire down payment. And that's a lot of money. So, as a buyer's agent, my job is to make sure that you don't lose that money, so we're protecting that as much as possible. Again, I can get more in detail with this, but I think you kind of get it. So about 2 weeks after the offer is accepted, you're going to sign the purchase and sale. So it moves pretty quickly. Sometimes it'll, you can push it out for a variety of different reasons, but typically you want to keep it tight so that way there's no issues like somebody loses a job, God forbid, or something like that. Somebody changes their mind, whatever. And then the bank, once the purchase and sale is signed, then the bank is going to trigger an appraisal, which they'll hire a third party to come and verify the value of the home. That's a whole nother episode we can get into. But essentially that value, they're ensuring that they're not giving a loan that is more than what the home is worth. And sometimes this can be problematic because maybe like the appraiser doesn't know the area, so they don't know like, hey, this is an area that's, up and coming, or, people really want to be in, and the values haven't quite matched what, people are offering. So sometimes some of that stuff, you just make sure if there's any issues at the appraisal, you try to get that stuff taken care of. Sometimes you have issues because maybe the property is weird, it's unusual and you can't find comparable properties to it. I had some clients that bought a place in Rockport not too long ago, and it was like an artist studio, and it was like a California artist studio style. It looked like a combination of that plus like a cottage plus, well, I don't know, like it had an art studio in there where, the guy would paint. And I mean, it was beautiful and it was fabulous, but there was nothing like it in the area at all. So it took a long time for the appraisal to come back. Anyway, after that happens, then, and the purchase and sale is signed, about a week later, you have the mortgage contingency, which essentially you're going to get from the bank a letter stating we're going to fund this loan, and it can have conditions or not. And ideally you want to have it without conditions, because then there's not a chance that, there's a condition that you can't satisfy, and then you end up screwed and you lose your money, or, and you want to make sure that you, if the conditions aren't met, that you extend the mortgage contingency until they're met. And then lastly, during this time, you're probably going to hire movers. You know, maybe you have, you know, you measure the place or something, you know, making sure that your stuff fits in there. But during this time is like when you would probably hire the movers and things like that. All right, I think that's it. I went way over on this one. All right, talk to you soon. Bye.